@NCERT video welcomes you. Today we are going to read Chapter 5 India, that is Bharat. Let's start Chapter 5 India, that is Bharat. In India, at a very early time, the spiritual and cultural unity was made complete and became the very stuff of the life of all this great surge of humanity between the Himalayas and the two seas. Sri Aurobindo. Figure 5.1 is seen from rural India about 2300 years ago. North gate of the Great Sanchi Stupa. The big questions. 1. How do we define India? 2. What were the ancient names for India? Figure 5.2. A physical map of the Indian subcontinent with some of its rivers. You can see here Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, Hindu Kush Mountain, Himalayas range. You can see River Ganga, River Yamuna, River Chambal, River Indus, River Jhelum, River Chenab, River Ravi, River Byas, River Satluj, River Saraswati, River Indus. Here you can see River Brahmaputra, River Ganga again, River Narmada, River Tapi, River Mahanadi, River Godavari, River Krishna, River Kaveri. Today, the India we know is a modern nation with defined borders, defined states, and a known population. However, it was very different 500 years ago, 2000 years ago, or even 5000 years ago. This region of the world, which we often call the Indian subcontinent, has had many different names and shifting boundaries. We can learn about the India's past and evolution from many different sources. Let us explore. Think about it. Consider the physical map of the Indian subcontinent at the start of the chapter. What are its natural boundaries that you can make out? In figure 5.2, you can see India is separated by natural boundaries such as mountains and seas. In the course of history, India has been called by many names, both by its inhabitants and by visitors from outside. These names come to us from ancient texts, accounts of travelers and pilgrims, and inscriptions. Inhabitants, people who live in a particular place. How Indians named India. The Rig Veda is India's most ancient text, as we will see in Chapter 7. It is several thousand years old. It gives the northwest region of the subcontinent the name Sapt Sindhva, that is, the land of the seven rivers. The word Sindhva comes from Sindhu, which refers to the Indus River or at times to a river in general. Figure 5.3, the northwest region of the Indian subcontinent. You can see river Indus, river Jhelum, river Chenab, river Ravi, river Vyas, river Satluj, river Saraswati. You can see here river Ganga, river Yamuna, river Chambal, and river Narmada, river Tapi. Moving on in time, we see names of other parts of India appear in the literature. The Mahabharata is one of the India's most famous texts. We read about it in the theme our cultural heritage and knowledge traditions. Interestingly, it lists many regions such as Kashmira, more or less today's Kashmir, Kurukshetra, parts of Haryana today, Vanga, parts of Bengal, Prague Jyotisha, roughly today's Assam, Kacha, today's Kutch, Kerala, more or less today's Kerala, and so on. Let's explore. Do you recognize the names of any regions given on the map, figure 5.4, on page 79? List the ones that you have heard of. Figure 5.4, map of few regions listed in the Mahabharata. Many of them are also mentioned in the text as kingdoms. You do not need to remember those regions, but notice how they cover the entire geography of the subcontinent. But when do we come across a name for the entire Indian subcontinent? Because ancient Indian texts are difficult to date, this is not an easy question to answer. The Mahabharata uses the term Bharatvarsh and Jambudvip, and the scholars generally agree that this long poem was written from a few centuries BCE onward. The first term, Bharatvarsh, clearly extends to the entire subcontinent, and the text includes the names of numerous rivers and peoples. Bharatvarsh means the country of the Bharatas. Bharat is a name that first appears in the Rig Veda, where it refers to one of the main Vedic groups of people. In later literature, several kings named Bharat are mentioned. The second term, Jambudvip, means the island of the fruit of the jamun tree. This is indeed a common tree native to India, also called jambul tree, Malabar plum tree, etc. Jambudvip came to mean the Indian subcontinent. In fact, we get a good clue from the Indian emperor. His name is Asoka, and we will meet him later. For now, we can take his date to be about 250 BCE. As we will see, he left us many inscriptions. In one of them, he used the same name Jambudweep to describe the whole of India, which at the time included what is today Bangladesh, Pakistan, as well as parts of Afghanistan. A few centuries later, Bharat became the name generally used for the Indian subcontinent. For instance, in an ancient text called the Vishnu Puran, we read उत्तरं यत् समुद्रस्य हिमाद्रे चैव दक्षिणं वर्णं तड भरतं नाम. It means the country that lies north of the ocean and south of the snowy mountains is called Bharat. This name, Bharat, remains in use even today. In North India, it is generally written as Bharat, while in South India, it is often Bharatam. Think about it. Have you identified the snowy mountains? Do you think this brief description of Bharat is correct? It is interesting to note that different parts of the country adopted a similar definition for India. For instance, a poem of ancient Tamil literature from about 2000 years ago praises a king whose name is known from Cape Kumari in the south, from the Great Mountain in the north, from the oceans on the east and on the west. You can now recognize the great mountain in the north, and it should not be difficult to identify Cape Kumari. It looks like ancient Indians knew their geography well. Don't miss out. The Indian Constitution, which was first written in English, uses the phrase India, that is Bharat, right at the beginning. Similarly, the Hindi version of the Constitution mentions the same as Bharat Arthat India. Constitution, a document that spells out the basic principles and laws of a nation. The Indian Constitution, which will be studied in grade 7, came into force in 1950. Let's explore. In this reproduction of the first page of the original Constitution of India, in figure 5.5, page 82, can you make out the phrase India, that is Bharat? Figure 5.5. First page of the Constitution of India. Source reprint of the original Constitution of India, Ministry of Culture, Government of India, 2000. India, that is Bharat. How foreigners named India. The first foreigners to mention India were the Persians, the ancient inhabitants of Iran. In the 6th century BCE, a Persian emperor launched a military campaign and gained control of the region of the Indus River, which, as we saw, was earlier called Sindhu. So it is no surprise that in their earliest records and stone inscriptions, the Persians referred to India as Hind, Hidu, or Hindu, which are adaptations in their language of Sindhu. Note that in ancient Persian, Hindu is a purely geographical term. It does not refer heir to the Hindu religion. Based on these Persian sources, the ancient Greeks named the region Indoi or Indaiki. They dropped the initial letter H of the Hindu because this letter did not exist in their Greek language. Sindhu, Hindu, Indoi, Indaiki. The ancient Chinese also interacted with India. In several texts, they refer to India as Intu or Indu. This word also originally comes from Sindhu in the following manner: Sindhu, Hindu, Indu, Indu. Don't miss out. Zhuangzhang, formerly spelled Huan Tisang, Xuan Tisang, etc., traveled from China to India in the 7th century CE. He visited many parts of India, met scholars, collected Buddhist texts, and returned to China after 17 years. There, he translated the manuscript he took back with him from Sanskrit into Chinese. Several other Chinese scholars visited India over the centuries. Another Chinese word also derived from Sindhu was Tiangzu, but this word could also be understood as heavenly master. This reflects the respect of ancient Chinese had for India as the land of the Buddha. You are probably quite familiar with a more recent term, Hindustan, but you may not know that it was first used in a Persian inscription some 1800 years ago. Later on, this became the term used by most invaders of India to describe the Indian subcontinent. Let's explore. Can you complete this table of the many names of India? Persian, Greek, Latin, Chinese, Arabic and Persian, English, French. Before we move on, India is an ancient land which has had many names in the course of its history. The names given by the ancient inhabitants of India include Jambudweep and Bharat. The latter became widespread in time and is the name of India in most Indian languages. Foreign visitors to or invaders of India mostly adopted names derived from the Sindhu or Indus River. This resulted in names like Hindu, Indoi, or eventually India. Questions, activities, and projects. 1. Discuss what could be the meaning of the quotation at the start of the chapter. 2. True or false? The Rig Veda describes the entire geography of India. The Vishnu Puran describes the entire subcontinent. In Asoka's time, Jambudweep included what is today India, part of Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. The Mahabharata lists many regions, including Kashmir, Kutch, and Kerala. The term Hindustan first appeared in a Greek inscription more than 2000 years ago. In ancient Persian, the word Hindu refers to the Hindu religion. Bharat is a name given to India by foreign travelers. 3. If you were born some 2000 years ago and had the chance to name our country, what name or names might you have chosen and why? Use your imagination. 4. Why did people travel to India from various parts of the world in ancient times? What could be their motivations in undertaking such long journeys? Hint, there could be at least 4 or 5 motivations. For more videos, you can subscribe NCERT video. Thank you.